Our last two panels will focus on synthetic cannabinoids. Mr. Slay was previously introduced in our first panel and will now discuss law enforcement response to the increase in synthetic cannabinoids. Mr. Slay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Once again, it's a pleasure to be here in front of the Sentencing Commission and Judge Pryor on the phone. I'm going to reiterate what we talked about a little earlier, just to set the stage on it. These synthetic designer drugs, known as new psychoactive substances, refer to man-made synthetic drugs designed to mimic the effects of known licit and illicit controlled substances. These substances are oftentimes unscheduled and unregulated. Synthetic drugs have flooded the United States and have put not only our adult citizens but our children at risk of death and permanent injury. This tragedy is the primary focus for DEA that is overwhelming our country and law enforcement. Synthetic cannabinoids are dangerous substances that are marketed as legal high and have severe adverse effects that are unpredictable in the psychological and physical impact on each individual. Emergency room physicians report that individuals who use these types of products experience side effects including convulsions, agitation, dangerously elevated heart rates, vomiting, seizures, violent behavior, coma, and even death. These synthetic drugs are intended to mimic the effects of THC, the primary psychoactive ingredient in marijuana, but they are much more powerful. These substances are easily available through various outlets from the internet, convenience stores, gas stations, street dealers, and drug trafficking organizations. Anyone is easily able to order these substances directly to their doorstep without detection or purchase them locally with little scrutiny. The synthetic cannabinoids that we're encountering are primarily manufactured in and imported into the United States from China. They are produced by foreign chemists, usually in powder form and without quality control, in rogue laboratories in China. After entering the U.S., the substances are commonly mixed with plant material, acetone, color, and flavoring to create most cannabinoid substances. They may also be mixed with other substances and placed in capsule, tablet, or powder form. And our experience in the investigations with the cannabinoid laboratories, they could be your neighbor's garage. This could be done in your neighbor's basement. It could be done in a large warehouse. And they're very volatile. And as I mentioned here, the acetone, how this is done is a organic plant material like Damiana leaf, marshmallow leaf. It's dried out, laid out on a garage floor or a basement floor, a closet floor. The traffickers will throw acetone on the product, put it in basically a cement mixer. They mix that. After it dries, they allow it to dry. But what happens in the meantime, in one instance in Florida, which is a public health issue and a community issue, there was a laboratory there, and the heater kicked on, and it blew off the garage door of the house, and thank God no one was walking down the street. So it's a more or less a time bomb that can occur with this type of process because they're using acetone, which is very flammable. We've had instances where there were actually 24-hour workers in Tampa, Hillsborough County, which is one of the first largest labs seized, and they had worked 24 hours, and for months there, nobody recognized it. Workers had shifts going in and out. I have photos of this, but you had a production side, then you had a packing side, and the packing side would be working there, and they would put the spice K2, which is a street name for it, in these little envelopes, and they're very shiny and eye-catching, especially to younger children. When we refer to the stores, convenience stores, we worked with the Attorney General's office in Washington, D.C. We had a very good plan to pull licenses if they were selling things. You probably read that, which was effective. selling these K2 and spice out on the street. The effects are dramatic, to the point where one instance, there was a 16-year-old teenager driving his truck. He drove it right into a running train and killed himself. So the effects are very, very dangerous. So for a law enforcement perspective, yes, we see it. Example, we had a case in Newark, New Jersey, where it's not only local traffickers, but traffickers connected to terrorism. And when they arrested this case, they took it down. The case was taken down, and it was a fantastic case. And there was over 750 kilograms of Damian leaf active cannabinoids, and several $100,000 in seizures. So we're talking big profit, and the profit margin on this is very high, which was mentioned earlier. You can buy from China, the product from China, in powder form from $2,000 to $5,000 per kilogram, at $20 each, at 1 to 2 grams per package. The traffickers can generate a substantial profit in excess of $250,000 per kilogram. That's substantial for a $2,000 investment. The source is still, we're seeing it from China. I know we've been hearing about India as well, but not so much in the synthetic world. We see chemicals, bulk chemicals coming from India, mostly related to methamphetamine. So, which are precursors to precursors, something like benzaldehyde and other precursors that once we schedule something, they go to another precursor. So we see that come out of India, but not so much any of the synthetic cannabinoids.
Okay, Mr. Slade, any questions? Judge Breyer, do you have any question?
No.
Okay. We thank you for your presentation this morning. We have your written testimony as well, and we'll move on to the next panel. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Double duty.